Welcome to the Winging It Travel podcast with me, James Hammond, where every Monday I'll be joined by guests to talk about their travel stories, travel tips, backpacking advice, and so much more. Right now, I'm taking the podcast on the road travelling with me, so tune in every week for short form episodes detailing all my travels alongside my Monday guest episode. Are you a backpacker, traveller, gap year student, or simply someone who loves to travel? Then this is the podcast for you. This is a casual, informative podcast designed for you to inspire you to travel. There'll be stories to tell, tips to share, and experiences to inspire. Welcome to the show. Hey, just a quick one. I just want to say there are many ways to support this podcast. You can buy me a coffee and help support the podcast with $5, or you can go to my merch store with the affiliate link with TeePublic, where there's plenty of merch available to buy, such as t-shirts, jumpers, hoodies, and also some children's clothing. Thirdly, which is free, you can also rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or Good Pods. Also, you can find me on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. Simply just search for Winging It Travel Podcast, and you'll find me displaying all my social media content for travelling, podcasts, and other stuff. Hello, and welcome to this next solo episode of my travels. And this one today is my week in Taiwan. I'm actually here, still in Taiwan, recording this because we're about to fly to South Korea in the morning. So I'm going to cover our busy week in Taiwan, which covers Taipei and Kaohsiung, the city in the south. So we flew from Bangkok, and I think the flight costs roughly around 180 Canadian dollars. So real cheap if you're based around sort of KL or Bangkok. I think you're going to get some pretty cheap flights up to Taipei. And it took about 3.5 hours. The first thing you'll need to do is to get yourself a Taipei, and it's also a Taiwan travel card. These cost 100 Taiwanese dollars. To give you an example of how much that costs, $1 US is 30 Taiwanese dollar, so around $3 US. And you top this up as you go. And you can use this in Taipei to get from the airport into the city, the metro system within the city, and also we could use it in Kaohsiung in the south. So these are countrywide, I believe, in the cities. You can use them anywhere. So from the airport, it's pretty simple. You can get an airport train. It takes about 35 minutes to get from the airport into the main city of Taipei, and then you'll change at Taiwan main train station into the metro for where you're going to stay. And we are staying in a place called Dongmen, and the hostel we're staying at is Dongmen 3 Hostel, which is your classic capsule hotel. And this costs, when we booked it in advance, 1,500 Taiwanese dollars for 3 nights, and it's right next to the Dongmen metro station stop. So right next door, pretty easy. And that is on the red line from the Taipei main train station. So 2 lines, probably takes about 45 to 50 minutes in total. Real easy. I'm not sure how much it costs in terms of the money on the card, but it seemed fairly simple and fairly cheap. If you head out of exit 3 and take a left, you'll see the hostel next to a cafe called Two Shots. They're kind of in the same building, and you go through there and check in. The hostel itself is very nice and very comfortable. It's got a downstairs area which has got aircon and a fan, and they have a tiny little kitchen there. They've got a few hobs, they've got a fridge, they've got a kettle there as well, got some recycling bins and some drinking water down there, and you can wash up your stuff too. There's a nice little area down there, got a couch, some tables and chairs and a guitar. And then the next floors up are divided into different rooms. We obviously stayed in the mixed dorm, and this mixed dorm had a mix of single and double beds, and you close the curtain and that is your little area to sleep in. Of course, comes with aircon, very different to Nepal, and there's a little storage area beneath your bed to put your bags in. In terms of showers, on the same floor, there's a no shoe policy in the room, so you put your shoes off outside, pack them away until you use them again to go outside of the hostel, and the toilet and the shower is down the way. Two toilets, 2 showers, fairly easy, and a fantastic hot shower. Although you don't really need it in Taipei at the minute because 30 plus degrees and very humid. I think further up the hostel they have a female only dorm, and I think there's a quadruple room floor maybe where the private dorms. But honestly, the capsule mixed dorm is spacious, quiet because there's rules, and it's got aircon, and it's very, very good. One tip I would say is leave your curtain open a tiny bit, because otherwise the aircon air is not going to get into your cubicle, and we had that problem the first night, way too warm and hot, so the second and third night we left it a little bit open. I actually smashed in a 2 shots coffee, the cafe downstairs. You can take that coffee into the floor 1 where the hostel is, and I think the coffee costs around 50, I think 40 to 50, something like that for Americano. Very, very good coffee too. And then that first day we got in quite late, and it was absolutely pissing down with rain, so we ran out and went to a local restaurant called Kaohsiung. It's about a 5 to 7 minute walk from the hostel, and they do vegetarian dumplings, so Emma can have them, and I actually had some sweet and sour chicken. Fantastic, actually, really, really nice. But fairly mid-range, we're talking $15 to $17 each for a meal there, Canadian dollars that is. Next morning was our first full day of exploring Taipei, and we got up fairly early and nipped to a local cafe called Louisa Coffee, that actually a chain throughout Taipei and maybe throughout the country, and their coffee costs 50 Taiwanese dollars, so that's quite cheap. Thoroughly enjoyed it, real comfortable inside, aircon and all that, and you can get a little bit of a breakfast and coffee and cake and stuff as well. Sat there, and the plan was to go to the Taipei 101 observatory deck. That didn't open until 11 a.m, so we had a bit of time. So we had Louisa coffee, then we walked to get some brunch at an Australian themed cafe called Woo Lamulu, and that had very, very good reviews, and I smashed in an English breakfast there, and that probably cost, I don't know, 10 to 13 Canadian dollars, something like that. Again, Western prices, but not full Vancouver prices, they're cheaper than that, but they're definitely much more expensive than something like Nepal for Western breakfast, so we're getting more expensive for things like that, but it was unreal. Probably the best one I've had on this trip. The brunch place was about a 30-minute walk, very hot, humid, sweating, not very nice. I had to take my towel with me because I was sweating every minute. Bit grim. Got into the brunch place, got some aircon, obviously had the breakfast, and then it's about another 5-10 minutes to the mall, and obviously to the Taipei 101. This was one of the tallest buildings in the world, I believe, and I think a fun fact for you now is that it's got the fastest lift maybe up in the world. I know we went to the Burj Khalifa up to 125 floors, quite quick going up that lift, but I think this one might just shade it in terms of the miles per hour, in terms of seconds as well, but not quite as high up. We're hitting around 88, 89, 90 floors here. The price of this is 600 Taiwanese dollars per person, so it's quite hefty in terms of price, but the views are sensational, so make sure you go on a clear day. And we just about got good enough views up there, I think. It was quite rainy / cloudy, but we definitely got some good views all around. And we also checked out some awesome stuff in there, like they've got this huge, gigantic ball, if you like, I don't know how to describe it really, where it helps balance the whole building when it's been shaken by wind or like a typhoon type scenario. And I think it'd probably help in an earthquake scenario too, just keeps the building fairly centralised. And you can also read about how they designed the lift as well and how fast that goes. So some good information up there, loads of room, not too busy during the week. I think maybe weekends you might have to book in advance, not sure. Weekends seem to be quite a big thing in Taiwan, so make sure you get in early. But well worth the value, great views, and a thoroughly enjoyable time out there. Quick snack, then we got the metro back to the hostel for, I needed a nap, so I had a 2-hour nap, I was absolutely knackered, probably didn't sleep well the night before. And then we went out to Shilin Night Market, which is probably one of the most famous night markets in Taipei. It's a must-do. It's again on the red line, so the same line as the hostel in the metro, so you head about 7-8 stops up north, get off, and this place is huge. And the main aim here was look around, have some street food, and maybe buy a handheld fan, which we did do for 100 Taiwanese dollars. Still working now, so it's going okay. But the street food was the main event. So I tucked into a beef bun. It's quite hard to describe. It's quite a tough pastry. Beef inside of it, some veg, maybe some onion. Fairly dry, not gravy and anything, but that was about 70 Taiwanese dollars on the market. I also had some fried mushrooms, bit of a kick to them. They're really nice. And Emma had mashed potato with pineapple and cheese, which is an interesting combo. And we got some sweet potato balls as well, which is definitely a must do. They're super tasty actually. All of that, and then we found somewhere to sit. Not really many places to sit in this one, but we found this little temple right next to the market. Sat down and absolutely sweated out whilst we ate our food. Just so humid and hot. I mean, constantly sweating. So I was hopefully losing some pounds whilst eating some pounds. But that was a very good experience. Walked around, they sell lots of stuff there, lots of games going on, lots of clothes stores. There's a huge area. Could spend a couple of hours there, get your food. We got some sweets there, all that sort of stuff, and it's just a real cool area and cool vibe to be in. It definitely is one of the biggest ones and main ones to go and see in Taipei. So that's Shilin Night Market. So that was the end of day one, and then next day we headed to a very trendy place for coffee, a bit pricey but well worth it. It's called Simple Cafe Flagship Store. I've actually done an episode on this on my other podcast, the Trendy Coffee Podcast, so watch out on YouTube for that. Super trendy, expensive, but tasted really good, the coffee there. Then we walked around to an area for a bit of lunch at a place that had very good memories in Japan, and they're called the Coco, C-O-C-O, and they do Japanese curry, and we found out there's a few in Taipei. So we walked around to one in the area of Ximending, which has a night market, which we actually went to visit after. But this area has got lots of shops, like, you know, the classic flagships. So, fuck off. It's got all your classic brands, and they have a lot of youth hanging around there doing their shopping and getting some food. Cool area, liked it, and Coco was amazing. Got my Japanese curry, sensational. The next thing on our list was to walk around to Longshen Temple. Fairly close, 10-15 minute walk, free entry, and it's just a classic Hindu Buddhist temple to go and look at, and people are praying in there. It's got like all the classic things you see in a temple. Really nice to hang out there, quite peaceful, and enjoyed seeing that. And as I said, after that we visited the night market in Ximending, and we couldn't really find any vegetarian food that was good enough for Emma really, so we actually had dinner at a restaurant which had pasta. I actually don't know the name of this restaurant, but it's very good. And we got pasta, a bit of bread, and a drink. Decent value. That was the last of Taipei until we came back today, which is the last day. And then next morning we got the high-speed rail to Kaohsiung, which is in the south of the country. It's about a €75 return ticket on the train, or if you like, 100 Canadian dollars, around that mark. It takes an hour and a half, super quick. This train is going at 300 kilometers an hour at some points, and just on time, comfortable, clean. You can buy beverages on there. Just really enjoyed the experience there and back. And we were staying in an area around Central Park, which is on one of the main lines in the metro system, and the backpacker was called Uno Backpackers, and it's a very cool hostel. It's got private rooms, dorms, it's got a sort of a rooftop area where you can do your washing but also hang out and have a drink. It's got a games room at the basement, karaoke in there. Didn't actually check this out, but there's other things to do in there for games. And floor 2's got a TV, kitchen, loads of space to like maybe do some work or write some blogs or just hang out, have a drink, sit on a couch. Love the vibe. Probably my favourite hostel I stayed in on this trip, and it wasn't that expensive for a private dorm. It was probably about 1,000 to 1,100 Taiwanese dollar. One thing about Taiwan that they're pretty strict on is check-in times. Even if the room is available, I don't think they're going to let you check in early. So we dumped our bags off on floor 2, and then we headed out to see the town. And we went to Sunnyside Coffee Roasters. They do fantastic coffee in there. Really enjoyed it. Reasonable price. I think they roast their own coffee, so that's fantastic. I'm starting to notice and feel that a lot of people don't speak that much English in this part of Taiwan, so you're going to have to get your Mandarin out or get your Google Translate out, but we just about got there, had a coffee, fantastic. Then we made our way down, walking, so probably another 10-15 minutes down to Love River, that's what it's called, and we checked out an area called Tier 2 Project Area. This is a real cool artsy type of area where they have cafes, independent shops, a real nice walkway along the river. There's also a train, metro stop there, but not on the right one for us where we're coming from. But going to other parts of the city, real nice, cool vibe. And we picked out one of my favourite places that we've been to in Taiwan for coffee, and that's Now and Then. actually have a coffee. We had a huge selection here. So a smoothie was had. I had a Coke, of course, because it's hot. I was sweating all the time. A scone, which is really nice. Bit of a change up. Scone and jam. And also a bit of lemon drizzle cake. All in all, very reasonably priced. Their savoury menu looks fantastic. They've got brunch there, breakfast as well. And if we had more time, I would like to come back there and have a brunch maybe. A lot of walking this day, just checking out the town, the area. So we got back to the hostel and actually ordered a pizza in because we're knackered. And it was nice to have our own private space again. And I'm telling you, aircon is an absolute dream. When it's this humid, you just want to get in there all the time. So we chilled out. We got back fairly late, but had a pizza and then ready for the next day of exploring. Next morning, there is a cafe across the road from Uno called Coffee Wake Up. And they have a fantastic bagel for a really reasonable price. I'm talking about 120, 130 Taiwanese dollar. Wasn't sure what to get. It was a bagel with scrambled egg, a mushroom on it. It just tasted so good. Have that and a coffee, probably for around 180, 200 Taiwanese dollar. The coffee is very reasonable too. So I think this is a great place to have a coffee and a catch-up because spacious, modern, and also just seems to be fairly popular with people. So definitely a place to be. And then we popped on the metro and we're going to spend some time at a place called Lotus Lake. This is highly recommended. You can walk all the way around the lake. It's about 3 kilometres. We were deciding to walk half of it, so from the top end to the bottom end, all along the water. And there's a few things to see on the way. The Temple of Confucius and also the Japanese pagoda. And in between those, there's a few other types of pagodas as well. You can go in and around them, out to the little pier, into the lake. Yeah, just a real cool walk. Very nice, very peaceful, very hot, but a nice breeze coming from the sea, so you're not too hot on that day. And it's just a great walk around water, which is much needed, I think. All these temples and pagodas that I mentioned are all free, no price to get in. And the Temple of Confucius was very, very cool to see because they have lots of like little rooms to explain what's going on and what it's representing. So after that walk, we made our way back down towards the top end of the Pier 2 project area. It's quite a big area. We can check that one little area. We're at the top end of it. And we've got to a place for lunch. And this place is called Moon Sun Boutique. And this is like a vegan restaurant in a cafe, in a clothes shop. Some dogs running around. Interesting place. But what they had on the menu is something that I've just not had for ages and I love. And that's pumpkin. So I had pumpkin soup. Absolutely fantastic. You've got to give that a go. They also do smoothies there, and I had a mango passion fruit smoothie. That was very, very refreshing as well. Some great vibes there. Then we walked back down to the area that we saw the day before and went to another cafe in the same area as Now and Then, and a place called Lab. Had a fantastic coffee there. Tasted really, really good. Love the vibe. Big windows, lots of light. Just really comfortable to sit in. We probably could have sat there all day and all afternoon. Had a coffee, had an ice cream, checked out a few shops, and then made our way back to the hostel before heading out to another night market and a restaurant. But first we checked out a place called Dome of Light. This is on the Google Things to See. It's within the metro station. It's fairly cool. Lots of light in a dome. Check it out. It's free. Then we walked around the corner and had dinner at Yi Shu Shu Shi American restaurant. This is another vegan restaurant that we tried out. And it's quite cool in there. You go and order on the machine. It's like a retro, so you play music from it. But went there, ordered a hot dog, which was vegan, and it came with mustard and tomato sauce. Absolutely fantastic. And a platter, all vegan platter. Brilliant, quite cheap. Then finally we walked down Liu Night Market. Lots and lots of options here. They've got chicken, pork and beef. Saw that all around there. They've got fruit stuff on the go. They've got smoothies on the go. I thought maybe the selection was slightly better than all the rest of the ones that we've seen. And they had areas to sit down, like proper seating. So this is a great night market to visit. Great to have some food. And very easy, nice to walk through. The next morning we headed back to Taipei. And we're going to go and visit the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial, which is a huge area in Taipei. It's got a huge ground, I guess, where they do parades. It's got a memorial site. There's a free entry into the exhibitions in there. You can check out some of the Taiwan and Taipei's history. And they've got a library, and they've got a theatre in the ground, and there's a wall that goes all the way around it, and it's got some really nice gardens. So on a cool day, it's nice to walk around, and I thoroughly enjoyed walking around that. learned a little bit about Taiwan and Taipei. And today we had some coffees at a few places, one called Notch Coffee, that's near Taipei's main train station. I think they're coffee roasters, that's definitely worth a trendy. And also we had one at Yumu to Ohana Coffee, which is right outside a memorial. And that was like an old school house, just walking into a house and had a very trendy coffee there. And it's a nice last day in Taipei, just about held out for weather. No rain, it looked like it was going to piss down at one point. Nice day, checked out the last of the things we got to check out. And now we're here in a hotel before flying to South Korea in the morning. So I think Taiwan definitely needs more than a week. I have added it to the list to come back to, because I think there's lots of cool cities on the west side, but also the east side's got probably a bit more nature to go and see. There's so much more that we haven't seen. We basically checked out 2 cities, Taipei and Kaohsiung, both amazing places, both you definitely should check out. But also there's loads more to see and do in terms of nature and other cities, and I will definitely come back probably for 2 or 3 weeks next time. In terms of budget, I think we're hitting 100 Canadian dollars a day, whereas like Nepal was probably half that, so that's a fair budget. But food is not quite Western prices, but not quite cheap. It's in the middle, so bear that in mind. Metro, super easy, seems fairly cheap, but once you get going around different places, you probably can add up in terms of cost. The high-speed rail, again, was about 50 Canadian dollars one way, super fast, super reliable, and can get anywhere within the country. Not much cash needed. Card is pretty much accepted in most places, but you would still need some cash. In terms of English, we just about got away with it, but I wouldn't say they're blessed with speaking English that well across the whole country. So a bit of Mandarin would probably definitely help here. And also, this is a cheap place to get to from a lot of countries. So I think South Korea to here is cheap, Bangkok is cheap, I reckon KL was probably cheap, and maybe Singapore as well, maybe Japan as too. Like, I think cheap flights are available to get here, and it's definitely, I'd say, quite a budget-friendly place to come and visit. Super nice people, the friendliest people you ever meet, all want to help you out, very easy to travel in, everything's on time, clean, just a super country to check out. Thanks for tuning in today. The next solo episodes will be on South Korea. We are there for 10 days before, can you believe it, heading back to Vancouver to start our road trip across Canada just in time for the wildfires. So that'll be very, very interesting. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.